أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد
والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise and glory belongs to Allah, the creator of this universe, the one who has immense amount of love for his creations. The amount of love that he has for his creations, he equates to the love of the mother, but he says that I love you 70 times more than your mother. 70 or 40 or 10, you've heard these numbers in traditions. They are there to give us an idea that it is a lot. But they're not just specific to 70, 40 or 10. If I was to say to you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you 20 trillion times, right? That 20 trillion times, you will not be able to wrap your mind around it. You cannot wrap your mind around 1 trillion. And when you start putting the zeros, it's a very big number. Even 1 billion is a very big number. If a person was to have $1 billion, they could spend their whole life trying to spend it and it's not going to run out. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says 70 times, it's not necessary that you find the love of your mother and then you multiply by 70. And the other reason why it's limitless, it's not limited, is because the love of your mother first you would have to quantify. Right? You have to come up with the number for the love of your mother, that it is 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. And then you multiply it by 70. The love of the mom that is there in the heart, there is no measuring scale. You cannot have a particular device that is going to measure that. Right? So it is actually limitless. There is nothing that a mother would not do for the child. A father might say, is enough. But a mother would go through anything and everything for that child. Now this love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, He shows it in ways that you and I maybe are not used to. In ways that maybe you and I cannot accept it. Right? The reason is because when we come into this world, everyone's dream and everyone's hope and everyone's goals and everyone's thoughts is, everyone's wish is that this life should go through smoothly, without any pain, without any suffering, without any remorse, without any regrets. It should be completely peace. This is a misconception that you and I have about this world. It's a misconception, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran has verses that tells humanity then just because you have said that you believe, you think that you're not going to be tested. And then also that particular verse goes for the Imam of the time too, that just because you've said that you have believed in the Imam of the time, that you're not going to be tested. He also says that, when he talks about وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that he's telling us that we are here as a slave. Yet one of our other misconceptions is that we think that we are free. But in reality, we're born as slaves and we will die as slaves. And the only difference is that the jinn and men have the choice to choose their master. That's all. But you have a choice only in choosing your master. You don't have a choice of becoming free, because you're not born that way. You're born as a slave. A slave that chooses Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as his master, that slave is the freest slave in all of the slaves. But it's still a slave. The most free slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the Holy Prophet as Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And after that, the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that were the most free are the Aimam Masumin alayhi salam. And after them, the most free slave, after that are the awliya of Allah, the asfiya of Allah. And if I was to actually put the word Shia there, after the Imams, it is not an exaggeration. The only reason why I didn't put it is because our definition of Shia is very different than the definition that Imam Masumin alayhi have given to us. But when we say awliya Allah, okay, understood. Friends of Allah. Asfi'ullah, the ones that are chosen. A Shia status in the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the highest. It is the highest. How high? Imam Ali ﷺ says that the status of my Shias, it is going to be as high as when a person in heaven, when they're going to look at the status of my Shias, it is going to be as if a person on earth looks at the stars. How high? These are individuals in heaven. And how high is the status of that Shia? It is as high as a person sitting on earth, standing on earth, looking at the stars. In those days, they could not quantify or measure what is the distance between the earth and those stars that you see. And today they are able to some extent, not the whole extent. It is millions and trillions of light years. That too we cannot wrap our mind around it. Over 300,000 kilometers per second. Something like that, speed of light. I think it's 318, but give and take. It travels in 1 second. It takes 8 minutes for the light to reach us from the sun. And this is the closest star we have. Yeah? Imagine those stars that are there that look like little beacons of light. The biggest star they found, this is interesting. The biggest star that they found, they said that you can fit 9.3 billion suns in it. Right? This is what they have found so far. Then Imam goes further. He says, the person who loves us from the heart and that person helps us through their tongue. Maybe, yani meaning that that person speaks about us. That person tells others about us. That person tells about our rights and our hardships. That person who discusses what we have said. The person who memorizes their traditions and tells others. Right? When the sixth Imam was sitting down and he said to he said to the companions, he said, do you guys have gatherings where you discuss our amr? Where you discuss what we have said, our orders? The people said, yes, we do. And the sixth Imam said, oh, how I wish. When I'm saying this, I have a cold shiver run behind my spine. He says, oh, how I wish that I could be part of those gatherings. Yani, the sixth Imam's wish is that he could be part of the Majlis where their affairs are recited and discussed. Yet our own people would take Majlis, instead of participating in the Majlis, they will go somewhere else. Yeah. Right. So he says that the person who loves us, the person who helps us with their tongue, and the person who helps us in the battlefield, shoulder to shoulder, to fight against our enemies. Three things. That person will be in heaven with us. Now, how high is the status of Ali ibn Abi Talib? How high is the status of Bibi Fatima? How high is the status of Hussein and Hassanan? How high is it?
Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad bulantar salam.
Then he continues, he says, someone who loves us in their heart, someone who helps us with their tongue, but they do not help us in the battlefield, that person would be 2 levels down. Then he continues, he says, the one who only loves us will be in heaven. And what is that heaven? It is that heaven where a person will stand and look at the status of the Shias as a person is looking from the earth to the stars. So it is up to you and I where you want to end up. It's up to you and I. Where do you want to end up? Do you want to end up in the neighborhood where Imam Masumin alayhi salam are? Do you want to end up 2 levels down? Or do you want to end up in heaven where you are going to, if you were to see the status of those Shias, your heaven is not to remain heaven. It's not going to remain heaven because you will for eternity wish. The fruits of heaven is not going to have the taste for it. The drinks is not going to have the taste for it because you would wish for eternity that I wish I had helped, I had loved. And I believe at that time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that away from those people who are in heaven, because otherwise that heaven is not going to stay heaven. So the Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam or Imam Masumin alayhi salam, in awliyaullah, in asfiyaullah, the status of that being is on the top. Now, because now I have told you this, we can look at our own selves. Are we there yet? We're not there yet. Can we get there? Yes. We can definitely get there. Is it going to require effort? A lot. Is it going to require faith, conviction? Is it going to require worship? Is it going to require all that is there for us to follow and to reach that level? Yes. But can we do it? We can. We can do that. But it's up to you and I. The concept that I want to discuss today, and the reason why I mention all of this, is a misconception when I started off with that in this world we want to live in peace. That inclination Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you because you will be given that. You will definitely be given that peace and harmony and complete, a life of light where there is no darkness, there is no remorse, there is no pain, there is nothing. You will be given that. But after the work is done, after the exams are done,
Very good.
you cannot get this before. After the results are out, you cannot get that before. It has to be after all of that. He says that I've created death and life so I can test among you who performs the best of actions. Right? So he tells us that the reason why I have made you as slaves is because this slave, the master is asking for a test. He's testing the slaves to see who performs the best of actions. Right? So now, this misconception of peace, get rid of this in your heads. Out. Rest out. This is not a place to rest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make this world for resting, sleeping. He made this world for movement, for test. He made this world for calamities. He didn't make this world for rest. You will rest afterwards. When you have an exam, what do? Rest? Sleep? Study. You don't rest and sleep. The ones who are in uni or in college, coffee pe coffee. Right? Which you shouldn't drink. But caffeine and all that stuff, sugar high, all this, I can't go to sleep. The eyes are red. You want to go to sleep, but you can't go to sleep. You're looking at the computer like a zombie, but that's okay. You're not understanding anything, but that's okay. But you're going to sit down and look at that computer. You're not going to sleep. Why? Because tomorrow is the test. Tomorrow is the exam. I cannot rest right now. The people who rest and go to sleep, what happens to them when the test comes? Fail. It's just that simple. We go through this, all of us have gone through it. No? Even if you, for example, didn't finish university or college, but you've gone through some sort of studies, right? Even if you did not go through any studies, let's say that we have, the farm. What does a farmer does? See? When does the farmer does? Farmer prepares the land, farmer puts the seeds in there, farmer is ready for, all of the things to water the land and is, there putting all of this, and then even when it grows, he's constantly working until the crop is ready. Once the crop is ready, okay, you're still not done. You have to cultivate it, then you have to sell it, then you get the money. And then again, you're still not in rest because you know that now it's the time for the next crop. Just like when you're done your exam, you can rest for 1 or 2 days or whatever week, but you have to go back to school. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create this world to rest or to sleep. And you cannot achieve the marks that are necessary without effort and hard work. You cannot. We have come up to this conclusion that our whole life should be just peace, happiness, just run around, play, and nothing else. Right? Now let me tell you, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves someone, what He does. Okay? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves someone, He puts them in calamities. He gives them harder tests. Tests that no one has ever gotten before. With me so far? I don't know if your mind is going towards Karbala or not. It should go. It should go. He says in Hadith Qudsi that when I love someone, I put them in the middle of the ocean. Let's say you can imagine ocean. He says, I put them in the middle of the ocean and leave them there. And what is this ocean? This is the ocean of calamities. He says, when I love someone, Hadith Qudsi again, I send them difficulties like a person who's gone away from home sends the people in his country or in his land gifts. Right? Now you're here, your family is in Pakistan, you send them a gift. When they receive the gift, guess what happens? The first thing. They want another one, that's fine. But when they get the gift, the first thing happens is, who is this gift from? Yeah? When they get it, it's from Muhammad, they remember Muhammad. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when I love someone, I send them gifts in the form of hardships, so that when they receive it, they remember Allah. With me? The Urafa have said that sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place a person throughout their whole life in difficulties, so that that person one day can say out of the deepest of their heart, Ya Allah. Right? So that he can say, Ya Allah. That Ya Allah that is going to come from the bottom of the heart is going to connect this individual directly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us 70 times more than our mother, or that if we were to quantify that it is trillions and trillions that we cannot wrap our minds around, what are we expecting from Him? You know? What are we expecting? Hardships? Difficulties? Calamities? Tests? What is? Hardships? What are we expecting? Ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will give you ease, but not here. I promise you I will give you ease. And this test that I'm putting you through, it is for your own good. Because once you go through the test, you will find out who you are. And these tests will make you who you are. And you will go through it, you will cultivate those qualities that are the qualities of my friends. The Prophet says that there is no other prophet that came ever that was given more pain than me. Nobody gave more pain to any prophet than me. You look at his life. It's filled with calamities. A time when the Prophet went to someone's house, and as he entered, the door or the curtain that he had fell. As he fell, the Prophet, when the person goes, you know, that's very strange. The Prophet said, why? He said, I never had anything like all of a sudden happen like this, where I lost something. The Prophet said, you must be a very bad person. He said, you must be a very bad person. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't love you enough to give you calamities and difficulties. Because the one that He loves the most, the one He loves the most, He puts them in the most amount of calamities and difficulties. Now as I'm saying to you, this is a whole new world. Now when a difficulty comes, a person who has this perception about the world is going to welcome it. He's going to say, look, my God, my Allah, my Creator, right, my Sustainer remembered me. Yes or no? Now that person is not going to say, oh, why did you put me into this? He's not going to complain about it. He's going to say, this calamity has come to me. This has come from my Creator. Why? Because He loves me. Now, when we talk like this, they say, well, you know, you Muslims, all you want to do is cry and suffer. Do you know the biggest calamity? The biggest calamity actually happens to be in pleasure and happiness. When a person gets happy, when they are, you know, joyful, that is one of the most dangerous times, because shaitan is lurking around that person just to attack. You know what is the biggest calamity? Is that if you were to get rich. It is a calamity. We don't see it that way. No? Okay, if it's not a calamity, look at the people who are the most richest in the world. Look at their lives. The most unhappy, stressed, frustrated, yeah, self-conscious, narcissist, yeah, low self-esteem, yeah, emptiness, loneliness. Yeah. They have the most amount of those things that the poor don't have. With me? And you look at the movie stars, you can filled. But what does shaitan do? Shaitan does, you know what? You can have this peace in this world, go run after it. Go run after it. Don't worry about the test, just go run after it. He shows this sarab, his deception, and guess what people do? They start running after it. Do they ever find it? No. Because if they ever did find something in this world that gives them happiness, there's always something else that they want after it.
Allah is sending wealth. Is that if Allah is sending wealth to those people,
Yeah.
does that mean He loves them? Because you said that wealth is a calamity.
Calamity, yeah. Now, it's a good question. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the people who are non-believers, right, and wealth happens to be a calamity, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love those individuals that He's sending it to? The reason why I said it is a calamity is because the person, money, if you look at it as good thing, right? Food, shelter, car, good thing. Yes? With me or no? Yeah. As a blessing, right? Yes or no? Yes. When you get money, you say, Alhamdulillah, I received such and such money. When you get a gift, like a PS4, you say, Alhamdulillah, I got a PS4. Yes or no? Does anybody say, Alhamdulillah, I got cancer? Does anybody say, Alhamdulillah, I got cancer, Alhamdulillah, I got BP, Alhamdulillah, I got cholesterol, Alhamdulillah, I got all of that? Do they say that? No, right? So what is calamity to us? Calamity is cancer, calamity is, BP, calamity is cholesterol, calamity is poverty, right? Why? Because what we think about blessings. You know what a blessing is? Well, stop looking at me there.
Wait.
Blessing is anything that takes you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And calamity is anything that takes you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is ni'mah and the other is niqmah. Alright? Now use this as your measuring scale of what blessings you have. With me or no?
Yeah.
So, are children a calamity or a blessing?
Blessing.
Blessing? They are only a blessing if they take you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If your children are not taking you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they are a calamity. What about a wife? Calamity, all of a sudden? No. Wife will only become a calamity if she's taking you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If she's taking you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then she's not a calamity, she's a blessing. Same goes for money. If money is taking you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is a blessing. If it's taking you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a calamity. When we use the word calamity, if you remember, I mentioned that that takes them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With me? Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the hardships and calamities to the ones that He loves? Because those calamities and hardships we do not consider as blessings. We consider them as calamities, but these calamities take us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where they become blessings. So in reality, the one that does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is void of blessings. Right? And if they're given money, guess what they do with that money? Yeah. They take that money and they get away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which becomes a calamity. With me? So, if you want to know what is a calamity and you want to know what is a blessing, now take a piece of paper and start writing down what your blessings are and what your calamities are. And in there, maybe cancer is actually a blessing. Why? Because once a person has cancer, फौरन मुसल्ला बाहर, ज़ियारतों पे, हज, यार हज कर लें अब, कैंसर हो गया तो क्या पता है किसी का, फौरन मैंने राज न्याज इबादत, मौलाना साहब प्लीज दुआ कीजिएगा उनके लिए. With me? So reality is that the blessings are only blessings if they take you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they're taking you away, your health is not a blessing, your wealth is not a blessing, your wife is not a blessing, your children are not a blessing, your husband is not a blessing, your money is not a blessing, your car is not a blessing, your house is not a blessing. In this world, only blessing that there is the one that takes you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the only blessing. Why? Because once you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you get closer to that being that is the owner of all the blessings. With me? This is the philosophy where when Bibi Zainab was said to her, it was said to her, look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disgraced you. Yeah, she was standing and the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sitting on a throne. And he said to Bibi Zainab, look how he has disgraced you. And Bibi Zainab said, all I saw in Karbala was beauty. All I saw in Karbala was beauty. Why? Because through the eyes of Bibi Zainab Salamu alayha, these bodies in another form were beautiful. Why were they beautiful? Because these bodies were cut in pieces for the love of Allah. They gave their lives, their wealth, their children for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where these hardships became reason for them to acquire the status, closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that no other human being is going to. It depends on how you look at things. Now when you start looking at things and you are the azadar of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, you're not going to shy away from hardship. You're not going to shy away from sacrifice. You're not going to shy away from tests. You're going to welcome them. The little baby that we are here to discuss, of the history that we're supposed to discuss, the event of Karbala has many different personalities. Right? We spoke about Hazrat Ali Akbar, we spoke about the companions of the Prophet, companions of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We spoke about Bani Hashim, we spoke about Hazrat Qasim, we spoke about Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Ali Asghar, out of the whole tragedy of Karbala, has a very unique place. very unique place. Because if you look at Hazrat Muhammad, they had seen some life. Right? When you look at Hazrat Qasim, he had seen some life. When you look at Hazrat Ali Akbar, but when you start looking at the life of Hazrat Ali Asghar, he was only 6 months. He didn't even hit a year. When the time came, Imam Hussain ﷺ was left all by himself. That condition of the heart of Imam Hussain is unbelievable. You know the amount of love he had for Hazrat Abbas, for Hazrat Muslim, Hazrat Habib, for Hazrat Ali Akbar, Hazrat Qasim, meaning everyone is gone. In the span of what? Few hours. From Fajr till about Zohar, so after Zohar, close to Asr. It's not a long span of time to lose so much. You know, you lose your father. In a day you lost your father, okay. You get sad. But in a day if you lose your mother as well, you lose your brother as well. You lose your uncle as well. You lose your grandfather as well. In the span of a few hours, what would be the condition of the heart? Imam Hussain is standing there, his hair is everywhere, he's got a dress that is filled with blood. Imam Hussein's dress was filled with blood. Somewhere was the blood of Habib, somewhere was the blood of Hazrat Qasim, somewhere was the blood of Hazrat Ali Akbar. His shirt, his dress was filled with blood. Right? He's standing there, he looks on his left, he looks on his right, he looks around. He sees himself alone. Alone. He says to them, where are you, lions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Where are you? Look at me, I'm standing all by myself. Get up. And then he says, you know, is there anyone who's going to help me? Is there anyone? Imam Hussain saw someone say, is there anyone that can help me? Little bit of movement from the tent where Hazrat Ali Asghar was. Imam Hussain goes there. Imam Hussain comes into the tent. The mother of Hazrat Ali Asghar is saying to Imam Hussain, I don't know what happened to this baby. This baby's condition is such that he doesn't even have the strength to cry anymore. Before he could cry, but I haven't been able to give him anything. His condition is such that there is really no movement in him. Seems like, but when you said that, is there anyone that can help me? This little baby's body started to shake. This baby's body shook to the point where he fell. Imam Hussain looks at Hazrat Ali Asghar. No. He takes him in his arms. When he takes him in his arm, his neck, he cannot hold his neck. He is 6 months baby. It's difficult to describe the condition of Hazrat Ali Asghar. The heart just melts, goes away. It's like a shock where you become angry other than that. If you were to take a petal and put this petal through sandpaper, the lips of Hazrat Ali Asghar were like that. Imam Hussain, I cannot describe that condition. If I described it to you, if that image comes, you cannot live your life anymore. Why? Because you've seen a 6 months old baby. You've seen how delicate they are. They're like a flower. Their bones are very soft. Their skin is very soft. Their innocence is apparent from their face. The only method of their communication is by crying. If they're hungry, they cry. If they are thirsty, they cry. And when they cry, the mother cannot bear the crying of a little baby. She wants to do something, whatever she can, to help the little baby. I say, my salam, my salute to you, O mother of Hazrat Al-Yasr, who had nothing. Who had nothing to calm down this little baby. Imam Hussain is taking him in front of the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the enemies of Allah sees the condition of Hazrat Al-Yasr, they started to cry. His condition was that such hard hearts melt. Imam Hussain said, you're after my blood. What has this little baby done to you? Here Imam Hussain is trying that those people who are the enemies of Allah, that maybe one person can be saved. Look at the mercy of Imam Hussain. Look at the mercy of Imam Hussain. Here he is, his 6 months baby, he's still trying. He says, you're after my blood. What has this baby done to you? Some of the narrations, they say that Imam Hussain put Hazrat Al-Yasr on the sand of Karbala. Said, you give him water, I'll go away. He's here, give him water. This asking for water was a plea to the hearts of those people who had gone astray. And when that happened, Hurmala was called. An arrow was chosen that was there to cut the necks of animals. When they wanted to put a camel down, they would use that arrow. He tried, he couldn't, he tried, he couldn't. So it seems that there is a tent and it keeps on moving. Maybe it's the mother. This arrow is now in the air. It has been shot. It's coming towards Imam Hussain alayhi. And the target is a little flower. The target is a little flower, a soft, beautiful flower. And this arrow has been made to cut the necks of animals. When this arrow comes and hits Imam Hussain, when this arrow comes and hits Imam Hussain starts feeling warmth in his hands. He starts feeling warmth in his hand. He now was carrying the weight that neither earth wanted or the sky. He was carrying that weight neither earth wanted or the skies. Imam Zaman says, I send my salams to that beard that was colored in the blood of Al-Yasr. The Imam of the time remembers Imam Hussain in that condition. Imam Hussain says, Oh Allah, even this is easy for me. Why? Because I know you're watching me. How difficult it was? It's narrated that in the arms of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, Hazrat Ali Asghar's body moved. The same Hazrat Ali Asghar that could not move before, Imam Hussain felt him moving. And how was this movement? They said that Ali Asghar was moving in the arms of Imam Hussain as a fish is out of water. Allah, how much Imam Hussain was in love with you that such a calamity becomes easy for him. It's unimaginable. But just remember this, who have heard and cried and who love Imam Hussain, he had said to Imam Sajjad, he said, oh, beta, oh my son, you know, when you come back, when you go back, give my salams to my Shias. Give my salams to my Shias. Tell them when they drink water to remember me. You know why? Because I remembered them a lot when I had Ali Asghar in my hands.